Send up the pilots, please.
We're ready to launch.
I need a perimeter set around the outskirts of town. Anything with more than 2 legs killed on sight.
All right, party time.
Welcome to The Good, the Bad, and the Sequel. This is the movie podcast where we're talking sequels, and we do it in 2 parts. The first, an interview with an actor or someone involved that made the film worth watching, and the second, a discussion of the sequel, what they got right, what they got wrong, and how it could have been better. Hope you enjoyed last week's interview with director. First, he was an actor, writer, and then now he has 50 movies made. He has a book to tell about it. It's called 50 Movies Made, and that's director Jared Cohn. He directed the sequel that we're going to be talking about this week, Atlantic Rim 2. And we talked about just his career. One awesome question, and I know Jamie, my partner over here, just him talking about his most expensive shot, which is pretty neat because when you're working in B movies, you only have a certain amount of times to do like a normal shot. Maybe big budget studios can say, hey, let's try that again, do it a 4th time, a 12th time. With this, you're on such a tight schedule. So it's really cool to hear the behind the scenes, especially working on Atlantic Rim 2 and how you actually set up for the special effects, which was pretty interesting. So make sure you go check that out if you haven't listened to that yet. But this week we're talking Atlantic Rim 2, the movie obviously that was inspired kind of to really ride the coattails of Pacific Rim that came out a few years before it. But I don't want to mention anything else before I have to introduce you my partner in the sequel watching journey, Jamie Riccardi. Jamie, how are you?
I'm doing okay, Doug. How are you doing?
Pretty good. I'm going to put you on the spot. What would your call name be? Wasn't it funny? The guy's name in this movie, Hammer, and that's like what I've always wanted. Somebody give me a nickname like that.
Yeah, my call name. And that you did put me on the spot. I wasn't ready for this. I was actually going to say, why are they calling him Hammer? They didn't explain that. So I wonder if
he was gonna. He seemed like he was hammering bugs, and he was gonna sleep with the waitress, right?
Oh, I thought he was just Hammer because someone spotted him in the shower, and it looked like he was holding a hammer.
That's what I mean.
Oh, okay.
You mean he was holding a hammer, or just a regular?
I don't know. I'm just saying, maybe. But yeah, I mean, yeah, you're putting me on a spot. I'm not ready for that.
Okay.
Boy, no, you can't use hammer. You can't use hammer. No,
Anvil.
that's already
Anvil.
Okay, that's really like using Atlantic Rim for Pacific Rim. I mean, really, you just did the same thing.
I was inspired, but I think it's so. Yeah, so we'll get into the movie, but I wanted to mention this first before I forgot. I thought it was so funny. His name's Hammer, which is very specific. The other girl, Badger, very specific.
Isn't there a bug one? Wasn't there a bug or dead bug?
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's my point. Hers is Bugs.
Well, maybe she likes Bugs Bunny.
I mean, you know what? I was thinking Bugs because of the creatures, but maybe that does make sense. No, but to me, I'm like, maybe it was a placeholder because all the other ones are like specific. It's like if Hammer would name a tool, and if the other one was just mammal. Well, like those are like
but I'm assuming they got their call names before the bugs happened. Like she didn't just join the military just because of the bugs happened. So I don't, She's
pretty young. The Hammer joined because his family was murdered by the bugs.
Let me ask you this: is sure. the uniform for the military, is it tank top only for women?
I know, very casual.
Very casual. I mean, like I mean, the men's all wearing tight t-shirts and everything else, but the women, is like literally, it's like they're going to the gym. Like their uniform is gym attire. It's ridiculous. And, if you didn't know who the general was, you could pick him out just by the way he stands. Because he does old crossing the arms or hands on hips even when he goes behind the sliding door and he turns around, he's got his hands on his, holding it, like cross armed, like the entire time. Okay. I need to get this off my chest now. And then, we could talk. Okay. So, yes, this movie is not my type of movie. I feel like, and again, clearly they're like you said, they're riding the coattails of Pacific Rim. I feel like when did this movie come out?
This one, I believe, 2018. I'll confirm.
Okay, so video stores weren't around, or were they on their way out? Still?
Nah, they were way gone.
Okay, so I'm assuming this company, which I think they're called Asylum.
Asylum, yeah,
Right.
they're big at
Okay.
making these movies. Yeah.
Right. So that's right. So I bet you what happens is they make these movies, they bring them to like video stores to rent. Someone goes there thinking like, they're renting. It's almost like it's like sometimes when you download a movie and you get the wrong movie, but the same title kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And they go there thinking, all right, I'm going to go rent Pacific Rim. And they end up with the B knockoff of what Pacific Rim is. And that's probably how they do business. That's probably why they do so well. It's because people
Yeah.
rent the wrong movie by accident. Okay. With that being said, two things. One, I mean, all right, this is a very B movie. I mean, the acting is very the acting makes me think that anybody can be an actor. Like I think I could have done just a good enough job, and I'm not an actor in this movie in any of the roles. Any of the roles.
Whoa.
Yes, I think you could have too.
Oh, well,
However, and again, obviously, it's a lot of CGI, and I think the CGI was actually pretty good for
dude, it was
what.
really good.
Yeah. So for what the budget, I don't know what the budget was, but for what the
Oh, I
budget
don't know.
was, okay, the CGI again, it is a very, I think it's a bright spot in this movie because it really does stand out. And again, it's a cheap. I mean, it does look, it's so CGI'd, but
Oh, yeah.
it's also well done how they do the CGI, and how they interact with the CGI. That's the best part. Also, as much as I know, I said the acting is a little shoddy, they all give it their all. So
Oh,
I
yeah,
mean, like,
dude, that is what is the best part. That's what I told Jarrett. I think some of the people are. What's his name? The guy you're talking about, the general, the crossed arms.
Yeah.
What was his name? His code name was Giant Killer.
Yeah.
He is in a ton of stuff. He plays like cop, officer, like in like big like network shows. But there's people in here that have like some kind of option acting chops. The main guy, Dr. Roth, who do you look like? And I always say this when it comes to B movies. Jonathan Sketch from what's it called? Roadhouse 2. The main guy in Roadhouse 2.
Yes. And I said he looks so, and he also looks like someone else. And I couldn't put it. I don't know. It was Harry Hamlin maybe, or like so like he had some kind.
He does look like him.
So he does look like again. I mean, I really never seen any of them, but they do really try hard in the roles they had. Like it is a goof. I think obviously it's a goofy kind of movie. I mean, the plot. I guess the plot is they just come back. Like that's just
just come back. Yeah.
That's but again, I think for what the budget is, they did the best they could with the budget they had. That's my bottom line.
No, and I totally agree. And I think that's what it is with these movies that people forget. Even when I talk to Jarrett, like the term, or even when I talked with Jim Wynorski, like the term B movie is such like some people, it's such a taboo word. When you hear the word B movie, it's like, oh my God, it must suck. There's B action movies that I love. There's so many ones that I want to cover on this podcast, and it doesn't mean they're bad. They're just inspired by other movies, and they don't have everything. They can't do the 10 shots. So just think about it as an actor. Like you only have a few chances to get it right. And I think for the most part, like there's not a lot of flubs when it comes to lines that they needed to keep in. And I think, like you said with the CGI, I think that's what's so great about Jarrett. Like his vision. Like I think if he had the opportunity to shoot a big budget movie with a nice budget, his angles and his shots, and there's one like 2-minute continuous shot that he does following them around the hallways. It like looks really good. But Asylum, he gave them props. Like he didn't have any hands in when it came to the CGI. He shot for it, and then after 30 days, they gave it to him. He's like, oh my God. And it looks good.
No, again, I mean, listen, I compare this movie to like a sci-fi movie, from Sci-Fi Channel.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, this is, I mean, and you take Sharknado, and we did one Sharknado, and I think the acting is very similar to Sharknado. However, I think the CGI blows Sharknado out of the water.
Oh, yeah.
And again, the way they interact, I mean, those Transformers look like, I mean, they look pretty good,
They do.
and even like like them like fighting off the monster or them being chased, their timing was very good. So I like the vision that he had for the budget that he had, I think it's very good. Not my type of movie, but I think the vision is what you said. I think he did I think again, everybody did what the best they could with the budget, and I think the CGI actually went over. Now, I'll tell you where the budget wasn't is inside the Transformers. there was
Oh,
literally
no.
okay, the inside the Transformers, there's literally nothing on the walls, like on the side, like no switches or anything. The only switches they had in front of them were like lights. They were like colored lights, and they're controlling it with these like shift things in their hands. Like
They
that
were
was
from like trucks. They were from like
Yeah,
big
it was just-
18-wheelers.
and they had like a compass on their eye, like like a
Yeah,
plastic
they did,
compass.
yeah.
So I mean, I would say the budget definitely was not on the inside of it, but the outside of it. So
Or now that you're mentioning that, and it's something that comes later in the movie, but I don't want to forget, is when you see like the things they're working on and the ideas they have, and just when you see her use like that old keyboard, she's talking about like the alien, that they might be aliens. She's typing it. I'm like, this keyboard is like older than the actors in this movie.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. I mean, look at the scanner she uses to scan the alien. It was like made of plastic. It looked like it looked like one of those guns where it popped the ping pong ball out, like and then you catch it. That's what it looked like, So I definitely think they they used what they could. They found around the prop room, and they But yeah, all right, let's get into this.
But I think you're right. I think that's what's great about it. You have those type of elements in the movie, and those people didn't look at that and say, "Oh man, this isn't a good looking prop," or what I'm working with in the cockpit of the robot. Oh, it's not. It's so cheesy. They gave it their all, no matter what. And yeah, so you're right. Let's get into it. So we get a recap of the first movie. Just a little recap talking about like the war. The one thing I did love was the reporter doing the voiceover during the recap. And she goes, it really did damage on the East Coast. And I'm like, okay, well, it's the Atlantic Rim. So, okay, that makes sense. Because they were talking about like where it's taking and everything. And it's like, okay.
So do we know what Atlantic Rim means?
Well, that's a great question.
Okay. I mean, do you know what Pacific
is that
Rim
the bottom
means?
of the ocean? Or I think the bottom of the ocean?
I don't know. Is that what it is? Or because I don't even know what
Great
Pacific
question.
Rim means. Okay.
Great question.
Okay. And now, is this like did you see Pacific Rim? Is it like is it basically the same movie?
So no, and I would say it's the same movie. I've seen Pacific Rim years ago.
Okay.
I think I turned it off. But what was funny was after this movie, the other movie came on, and I was skipping through it. So it had the main guy in it. I think is the guy from Game of Thrones, or either I didn't watch Game of Thrones, so either Game of Thrones or Sons of Anarchy. Didn't watch any of them, but it looked like one of those
Two
guys.
very different shows. Okay.
And Idris Elba's the main guy, but they wear like these smaller suits for fighting. But I don't know.
But they turned into Transformers, like kind of like they were like a robot suit.
They were like small suits. No, it wasn't
Okay.
like anything big like in this movie.
Okay.
But I don't know. It wasn't too interesting. I skipped through it. I'm like, this is kind of, I don't know.
So you threw off Pacific Rim, which was a blockbuster in the theaters, but you
That
watched.
bombed.
Did it bomb? Well, they made a sequel. They did make a sequel.
They really did? Was it
I
a
think
real
so.
sequel, or was it like
No, I think it was.
oh, wasn't Charlie in the second one? Oh yeah, it was Pacific Rim Uprising, 2018. Scott Eastwood, Charlie Day.
Yeah.
Look at that.
So I mean, it couldn't have bombed that bad if you're making a sequel. So
well, oh yeah, actually did really good. I'm surprised they didn't make another one. 150 was the budget, and it made
for the sequel,
box office 300 million. Yeah.
Wait, for the sequel or the original?
Sequel.
Oh wow. Okay. All right.
Look at that.
All right. So,
but I turned it off.
Okay. All right, well, okay. Well, your type of movie is this type of movie, so that's why. So, all right. So the one thing this movie does, I mean, it literally takes off the minute it starts. Like,
I love it.
This movie just, I mean, really, you dive into the movie. It starts right off the bat, and I have to be honest with you, I really didn't have much notes for the first the movie's an hour and 25 minutes long. I probably didn't really have that many notes until an hour in, because it's just all action. It's like nonstop the entire time. It was hard to write anything down. So it does move. I'll give it, there's definitely a lot of action, although I feel like they cut the action out so much because they keep going back to like the I guess the headquarters, and then they go back to the action. Like, you don't see a long take of action. It's always like a quick thing, and then they go back and see the reactions to the, what's going on, and then they go back to the action. But yeah, it does take off right off the bat.
Yeah, we get the guy that I bet shot all of his stuff in like a half a day on the boat. The guy that was just on the boat the whole time.
Okay. I mean, first of all, that kind of boat he's in, do you really go that far out to sea that it takes him that long to get back to land? Because in the time that he's on that, talking on and off, they literally go to the headquarters, back out to the place where the bugs are, back to the headquarters, back to the place multiple times. Which again, I question how far away the headquarters are, because there is a scene where I think after the autopsy, they're back at the headquarters like in 2 seconds, and then they're back on the road, the back again. Like it must be like in the backyard. They must literally not going that far. But this guy is driving straight the entire time. The boat. How far out was he, and why was he out that far?
I don't know, because he seemed very casual about it. As he was talking to the other guy in the military, and he was like, it was basically like he was done working, right? Didn't it seem like that? Because the guy's like, and then his computer went off, that he just happened to have his work computer, and then that's when it's like, did you hear that? And then inside his like very casual boat, he had like bombs to drop, because he dropped them, and then he was like, okay, the signal went away, and it's like, oh no, now there's more, and I'm like, oh my god, did he just wake them up? Like,
and again, that's a kind of boat. It's a small boat. You wouldn't go that deep into the ocean in a boat like that. So yeah, I mean, I question if he should not have a boating license.
I just love that he woke him up. It was like Jason Takes Manhattan. He woke up. Maybe he thought he killed one, but he woke them all up, because seconds later we get the one get up and it karate chops a naval ship in half.
Oh my gosh! I thought he ate the naval ship.
Oh, maybe he did. It just split in half.
Oh, you're talking about in the beginning.
The beginning, yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant his boat at the end.
Oh no! Whoa. That was I was not expecting that. I really
no, I wasn't either.
Because there were so many moments before that for that to happen. So after we saw him so many times, I'm like, they're not going to do that.
And I kept saying, like, and right before that happened, I'm like, why is this guy in this movie? Like, really, he served no purpose the entire movie. Like he's way too casual for the chaos that's going on. Well, there's definitely a lot of casualness. I mean, flirting and all that stuff while there's chaos going on. And I'm gonna say this one thing that I really question.
Okay.
They're fighting these, I mean, big aliens, and then one gigantic alien is bigger than King Kong and Godzilla.
Yeah.
Why is there only 5 military? There's only 5. Like, there's 5 taking on these aliens. Where's the rest of the military?
That is a great question. The only other military that we see in this movie, because that's what you know when it comes to B movies, you can't have a ton of extras. So even if you know all the high shots, there's nobody around. So wherever they shot this,
no, it's like the Expendables going after the aliens. That's really what it was. It was 5 specialists. Well, forget it. I'm wrong. It's not 5 military, because 2 of them were doctors. So literally, it was 3 military people going after the aliens.
Yeah, and then the only other time we saw the other ones was the first time we saw the spiders, the spider-looking things. Yeah. There was 5 military random extras that ran past, and we saw them. We didn't see them die. We just have to assume they died. But you saw the millions of the things coming at them, and they were still firing. I'm like, they're done.
Oh, ridiculous! And I mean, they have these 3 Transformers that they're flying around. No one knew, except for the, and actually, I think that the 2 girls and the guy that used it never used it before. So who's trained on that, on those Transformers that no one knew how to use it?
Well, no, they are trained on it. What they did was they changed, for some reason, the whole, like,
were they in the first movie? Were they in the first movie, the Transformers?
I didn't see the first movie. Oh, the Transformers. Okay. I'm guessing they were. I didn't look at the first movie, but the thing is the Dr. Roth, his was a different operating system. So that was the whole monkey wrench in this whole thing, that the military, after they fired Dr. Roth, they changed the OS. So that was the thing that screwed everything up, because that's why there was a huge lag. And that was like the big issue for everyone in this movie.
Oh, okay. The lag part. When he points his finger and says, "See, you have no lag," or something like that, he didn't do anything. He just moved his arm. I thought he was going to do, like, make him flinch or something like fake punch and make him. He literally pointed at him and he goes, "See, if you saw that coming, Who didn't see that coming? We all saw it coming.
So the next part I'm going to talk about is the biggest. This is a question that happens in so many movies, and I wonder if this is real. So while our buddy on the boat, he calls up Dr. Roth, and Dr. Roth's jogging, and he's telling about the situation, and he goes, "Yeah, the FBI, they should be at you in a few minutes." And they pull up, and he's like, "Whoa, guys, you think I can go to my house and get some stuff?" He's like, "Don't worry, we already stopped there. We packed for you." My question is that happens in a lot of movies. I think people maybe really want to get their own stuff, or they want to go to their house and run. But it's always in movies that the FBI is like, "Oh, don't worry, we packed everything for you." Are they going through drawers? And do you think is this under good?
First of all, how do the FBI know what he needs? Is it like a random? But what did they pack? Because he wore the same clothes the entire time.
It's true.
So, like, what did he need to pack? Because this literally takes place all in one day.
Oh yeah, maybe that's why. Maybe it was an overnight bag, and then we never had night. He didn't need it.
He didn't need anything. It literally, like, it takes place in one night. He wears the same clothes all the time. He doesn't have any of his equipment. Like, he uses all this stuff. So, like, I wonder what, like, did they pack a toothbrush and, like, his deodorant and like,
that's what I mean.
Like, it's so
what
stupid.
if we go out to dinner after we're celebrating? You checking him a collared shirt? Should be a button up? Should be a polo? What should I do?
Or maybe he has one of those like bum things that go on a stick. The hobo, the hobo bags, and he has one right in the corner. So what do they call? I forget what it's called.
I don't know what it's called, but the handkerchief, the old handkerchief. Yeah.
Dude,
God, I love
was that a thing? Like, I mean, you've always seen it in cartoon, Bugs Bunny and movies and all that stuff. But like, was that a thing? Like, if you were homeless, you walk around with a stick, a handkerchief, and whatever could fit in that handkerchief on the edge.
They don't help you out. They don't give you food. They don't give you anything. They give you a stick and a handkerchief.
And isn't it like the worst way to carry it? Because the minute you untie it, everything's gonna fall out like a pinata.
Yeah.
So like they should have made something a little better, at least with like a pocket or something. Like,
not a really good invention. That's in Joe Dirt. I know you turned that movie off, but Joe Dirt walks down the train tracks as a kid, and then he morphs into an adult with that.
It's so stupid. All right,
pretty good stuff. But
sure.
So now they're going to the bar. It's called the Need for Speed Bar, perfect for obviously military folk.
Okay.
And this guy, I'm telling you, hammers get with all these girls. The waitress.
First of all, he looked like he was leaving with all three of them. Like, unless, again, his name is Hammer.
I know. Yeah.
And clearly the women know his name is Hammer, so
the thing I didn't get was he was flirting with the waitress, and they knew he was. So in my head, I'm like, oh, they're just like close like friends. And then when the girl walked away, he gave her the looks, and they're like, "See, she didn't charge you for any of your drinks." And he's like, "Oh, this one's on me." And then he starts like necking with Bugs, and the other girl, Badger, she's like, "Oh, I don't want to be the third wheel again." And they're like, "What do you mean?" And then the waitress came back again, and he made eyes at her again, and I'm like, "What is happening?"
Wait, did you just say necking?
Necking. Yeah.
What is this? The 60s?
Yeah.
They're necking. I haven't heard necking. Like, I really can't believe you said necking.
That's the way it is. My wife just said that. We drove past a park when it was raining earlier today, and there were two kids in the cars making out, and she said, "Look at that, they're necking." See?
So that's why you said it. Okay.
They had some Buddy Holly on, and they were necking.
Okay. Then, well, listen, I guess if you're listening to Buddy Holly, then it's, necking is called for.
You got it. What do you call when you're listening to Motorhead?
Moshing.
It's in the name. Motorhead.
Okay.
And back to the movie. So I do love that in this bar they're playing Jenga. The guy has no coordination. They've been drinking, and then they get like a little alert, and then they have to go. And I'm like, oh my god, they're shit faced, and they have to go, but they're like so jacked for it.
And there's only 3 specialists. They're the only three specialists. There's only 3 specialists.
Dude, and at the end of the movie, when that comes up again, when they're like, "Where are the other ones?" and what do they say? They go, "Oh, we have no one, and no one." What do you say? Not on this coast, but it was something like the next person that could be in the robot is so far away they wouldn't get here time. I'm like, really? Like once all this started, you didn't have backup. Like
they had 5 people. There's 5 people. That's it. And you know, I'll give this studio credit because they literally had 3 female leads for an action movie. You know, like you don't see that too often, and the fact that like you know you have these 3 specialists that are going into the 3 Transformers, and 2 of them are women and 1's a guy. So you know, like that you don't see that too often. So I give the studio credit for doing that. Like you know, yeah. I mean, it might be a reason why they're wearing tank tops and everything. You know, but yeah. Okay.
But they don't have backups. Like
I know.
Like elementary school production of Annie has a backup.
And clearly they're taking it like they're taking time off and they're drinking. So like they should have like while they're doing that, they should have had already 3 other people that are already at the headquarters ready to go. No, they just whenever even if you're home, you can be. What if you're on vacation and they get the call? Do you have to leave vacation and come to the headquarters because you're the only 3 we have?
It would have been great if there was 2 shit-faced to drive and they had to take like an Uber or a cab, and the cab had to drop them off, and it's like, hey guys, this is the middle of nowhere. Don't worry, we're fine. It's just a cave because they have to walk into that cave.
Oh, well, yeah, the cave. But what if they were so drunk that they get into Transformers and then they're flying around all drunk because they were just drinking before that, But let's talk about that cave. I mean, again, another thing you see in movies all the time, how like that cave was huge. Like, are there caves that have layers like that? And why? Why do they always choose caves?
Turtle cave. It could be inside of a turtle. Maybe that's inside of a turtle. They cut that.
Why do they choose caves all the time? And I mean, think about the work that has to go in to like if you find the cave to make it a lair. I mean, the amount of like work that has to go on to make these caves as big as the lairs are would take years.
Oh, I know. Just thinking about like excavating like just the elevator shaft. And
ridiculous.
And he said they're 30 stories underground. Oh my God.
Okay, so that's a lot of digging inside the cave because the cave is still there. So you have to bring all the equipment inside the cave, dig. So I would think that the people that find the cave, they're adults. And by the time the cave is done, it's really their children going to take over because they're too old to even use the cave.
Grandpa, it's finally done. What?
I mean, we just watched Temple of Doom, and look at the size of that cave. I mean, that cave was massive. How long do you think that took to make? I mean, it's no way, Yeah.
There was a lot of little children that had to build that cave.
There was, and they're like chipping one rock at a time, like one pebble at a time. That's how it gets done.
That is how it gets done. But I do love the use of the CGI because even this, obviously, how expensive would it be to build that real set? But even when the doctor and the other guy, I shouldn't have his name. I have his name written down somewhere. But when they go into the cave and they walk into like, they probably set up a green screen. They walked in. It's like, it looked good enough for me. Like if they really walked into a legit elevator, would it change it for anything? So Russo, right? Russo was the other guy.
Okay. Yeah,
he was the badass guy.
Yeah, for a B movie, I'm totally sold on the CGI. I think, I think the CGI throughout the whole movie was spot on. I think it was very good. So yeah, I don't think whether it's an elevator or not, I didn't even think twice about that. So I don't think it would have made a difference.
Yeah, and here's another thing we always talk about this in horror movies, especially in Nightmare on Elm Street, where people are like, Freddy, who? Who's Freddy? In this, when the girl goes about the bugs, she's like, I've never seen them before, and I'm like, there has to be footage.
Of course, forget footage. It would have been all over the newspaper and the TV that giant bugs. I'm assuming the same bugs from the first movie were around. Everybody in the world would hear about it. If there was an alien invasion in Pakistan, we're all going to hear about it. So I mean, for them to in the same town not even know what's going on, a little ridiculous.
Yeah, no, but it happens. It's so funny. Like in. What do you mean?
It happens all the time. All the time. It's ridiculous. And one thing, that I feel the military has no concern for is the civilian life of any of the
Oh,
missiles that are going off. Like, I mean, in the beginning when they were showing the clips of the Navy ship and it's shooting missiles on the beach while people are running for their lives, not even caring who's in the way for these missiles. And I feel like this entire movie, all the action that's going on over these buildings, no care at all about any civilian life.
and how many civilians do you think died in this movie? A lot.
I would think so. However, you really don't see anybody.
We
It's
don't
like
see
no,
anybody.
there's really it's like a ghost town. I mean, they seem to be attacking the one town where it's only like 6 people that are running. There's two people, a mother and daughter. The mother who has bright orange hair, the daughter has bright blonde hair, running together the entire. And that's the only civilians you really see.
Yeah, we only see people running when they get out of the car. Like when she
Correct.
panics and gets out of the
Right.
car, that's the only time we see people run past the car. It makes her think she should run, but yeah.
And so who's the father? Is that the tough guy, the bad guy, the badass
Lee,
guy?
yeah.
Okay. He
No,
says
not the
this
Spanish
comment-
guy. No, it's Lee.
No,
the
not the
other
Spanish guy. I'm talking about the one
Okay.
that's the mother and daughter on the run.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Later on in the movie, he says something like he chose to do something which I can't believe. When he knew that his wife and daughter were trapped, he's like, I can't go help them. I'm the backup for Russo or whatever. Really? Like, you're gonna tell me your wife and daughter are trapped by these bugs and you're choosing to do the backup for Russo? I don't think so.
Dedicated.
That's bad parent.
He's a lifer.
Dedicated.
He's a lifer.
Well, again, I guess he had no choice since there's only 4 of the military people left. So it's
It's true.
well, actually less
Well,
than
the
that because it's the 2 women were stuck in the room.
Yeah. But then the doctor was like, you can go help your family. They're fine. It's like, okay, let's go.
Wait, so why is he the backup? Shouldn't he have been inside the suit instead of the doctor?
The doctor knew how to work it. That's why. That's the only reason why. Because remember the thing about this movie, not only was the operating system,
Yeah.
it was to be in it, you had to have a brain scan done. So it's a pretty interesting concept. Well, obviously, if these things were real, I don't think you'd have to be like linked to it. Like if your robot gets punched in the back, everything's connected to you, so you actually feel it. Which I don't understand why that would be a thing. I would feel
Right.
like you wouldn't want that because then you should just let your robot to do whatever
Yeah.
and not feel pain. But for
Right.
some reason, whatever. So that was the thing in this movie.
Yeah, but
so that's
but,
why
but
yeah.
no, but it was big enough that they both could have went in there, right? So like he should have been driving or flying the robot while the doctor said, "All right, now do this, do this, do this." This guy had, I mean, he looked afraid the entire time he was flying this thing.
Oh,
He
yeah.
really looked useless. So okay, all right, but we're getting too far.
Oh yeah, but you're right. Like at the same time, the other part of the movie's happening. You have the daughter, the wife is looking for the daughter. She's not picking up her phone. She's stuck in LA traffic. I did like when she was in LA traffic, LA-ish traffic, and then the next time we see her in traffic, she's on like a rural road. Did you notice
Yeah.
that? It went
Yeah,
from
yeah.
like city to like I don't know, like to go to like a concert in the woods. It was like
Yeah.
one lane road and nothing was moving.
Now, I never driven a convertible, but would you need an air freshener for a convertible? Wouldn't that like kind of defeat the purpose? Like if you're out there, I don't think it would work because she had an
You're
air freshener.
smelling whatever is out in the air.
Yeah,
you know?
it's gonna the wind's gonna blow everything around. She literally had an air freshener hanging from the mirror.
Huge waste. They upsold her when she was
See,
going
now
get the car wash.
yeah, and they paid money for that air freshener that could have been used for another prop.
They could use that for
They
a keyboard.
wasted it on that. That was poor choice.
A new keyboard. Yeah, they could. Oh man. So now we get Dr. Roth is in the lab. We meet General Worthington, arms crossed, like you said, like real serious.
The
Solid
whole time.
actor, like him in this movie. Every line, like you said, everybody gave their all, but with him, I really liked his portrayal of being that character. But it was funny, just like a lot of these movies, it's always like the scientist, the doctor, whatever, and they're like, "Oh, we don't like your idea. We're gonna fire you." But then everything went to shit, so then we have to bring you back. So that's the whole point of this movie. They're using Dr. Roth because whatever other thing they tried with Dr. Horowitz is not working, so they bring him in.
it's the same trope in every movie, right? You have the general of the movie that doesn't want to listen to reason and he just wants to attack and do everything else. Where you have the scientists and the doctors have like the idea of how to do this without like going all commando, and that's literally happens like in all the time. I disagree a little bit about the general. I think he overdoes the general, like type. I mean, like I said, I mean, there's a scene where he walks through the other room, the sliding door. He turns around and his arms are folded and with that angry face on, just facing the camera. Like it's like he really played like tough general a little too much. He just needed to dial it down a little bit. But yeah, I mean, like he went all in. I mean, but even the other guy, I mean, every tough guy in the movie, they're all standing with their hands on their hips. That's just the stance you have to have.
They're ready to go. There's bugs attacking the earth. Where else are you gonna put your hands?
Okay, all right,
on your hips. There are some really funny lines, and there are characters that we never saw but had really ridiculous lines. How about when Dr. Horowitz, she's on speakerphone with somebody we don't even know? All there is a conversation, and it seemed like it might have been somebody that worked at the Pentagon or something with the White House, because they were like, she was like, I know I can do this. I was here last time. I know I can do this. And the lady on the other end, in such a bitchy voice, she goes, remember, you win, you get a medal. You lose, blood on your hands. I'm like, whoa, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, there were definitely a couple of lines like that throughout. I mean, the doctor also has a funny like back and forth later on in the movie.
Well, the next line she has when she meets Dr. Roth, it's like two like lions checking each other out, because she's like talking shit to him, he's kind of talking shit to her, and she goes, yeah, I read your theory, but would it really work?
It's so dumb. Well, the one I wrote down later is something like, she's like, I'm going to assist them. And the guy goes, you can't go. It's suicide. She goes, I'm going. And he goes, okay.
I know.
Like
I know.
There was no argument. She goes, I'm going. And he goes, okay.
Very Pinhead-esque. You just have to ask him twice, and it works. It's like Austin Powers.
She's a doctor. Like, she's not a military person. She's a doctor. And she basically throws her weight around the entire time.
And she was going with that tiny canister to do what? I don't know. She didn't have anything to launch it. So there must have been something they had planned.
Somehow they had a lot of equipment when they did that autopsy out there, and she was able to diagnose a lot of things without using a microscope. I mean, I know she had the Google goggles on, or something like that. But I mean, she was able. I mean, I don't know what they were cutting open, because it looked like a bunch of marbles that just fell out of the.
Oh, I know. Yeah. Even the line, it was like, was that something that was added to be in the script, or was that just something that at the part they're like, hey, you uttered this line? Because it's like you can improv that whole line, because it really didn't have too much to, had a little bit affecting the end of the movie. But when she was like, usually if you know the organisms of the body, you could guess, but with this, they look totally different. It's like, okay, that sort of makes sense. Even in that scene, I was thinking in my head, did they maybe add that later or forget to shoot it or something? Because I know why they didn't do it in the lab, but maybe they just didn't have that set anymore to use. Maybe they didn't have it rented out or something, because they were like, we don't want to bring this inside because we don't know what gases it's going to emit. Let's bring all this stuff outside.
And they're all standing around it anyway. No one's wearing a gas mask.
I know.
So, and okay, so that one gas scene when everybody's coughing, that scene was like, that was basically a 2-minute scene of everybody coughing. Like they were coughing for a long time. I'm like, what is going on? Like, there was a line in this movie that did offend me though.
Wow. Okay.
Yes, I'm gonna tell you the line. So when the doctor was shooting the gun, and the guy goes, I didn't know. How'd you learn how to shoot that? He goes, because I'm from New York or something like that. Like, what does that have to do with anything? So they're saying there's a lot of gun shooting in New York.
I know. Oh man, I thought I wrote it down. Oh, I thought I wrote.
Oh no, where did you learn? Where did you learn how to shoot like that? I'm from New York.
I'm from New York. Yeah. Oh my gosh, amazing.
It's so funny.
And he used it pretty good. He just picked up the gun, a doctor, and he just boom.
we've seen that so many times in movies. I forget what movie it was where someone's never shot a gun and he picks up this machine gun and starts mowing down everybody.
Yeah, people are pros. I can understand if he was from like Alabama or like Arkansas, maybe they're more apt to wake up and practice shooting a gun as like a 7-year-old. But I don't know about in New York.
Yeah, you see, that's the thing. I would think like Alabama, it's like more of like a hobby. Where like in New York, it's more of a crime thing. So it's like of all places to say you got a gun from, I would have said like, yeah, I would think like it's a little insulting for New York.
Like, hey man, I never shot a gun. I know if I know there's a gun in somebody's house, I get a little uneasy. I'm like, I don't know what's going on here.
Yeah.
But yeah. So here's another like not a funny thing, but this is like where we were talking about the operating system writing. So when he put it's almost like they didn't want to tell him that they changed his whole thing because the general has him put on the glasses and he puts them on and he goes, did someone change the operating system? And then he's all pissed off.
That monocle that they're wearing. I mean, when you look at it up close, because they zoom in, it looks like something you get at a gumball machine. Like it looks like it looks like a plastic little like. I mean, again, I don't know what it's supposed to do. I guess it's directing the machines for flying, but like, how is it doing it? I don't understand how like the eye thing works.
It was very like steampunkish. That's what it looked like. It was like the exact thing from that style.
Right. So what is the eye monocle supposed to be for? Like, what is it supposed to be doing?
They didn't really ever show if it zoomed in on anything or if they just looked at that. So I don't know.
Okay, I'm glad.
We're on the same page. Now thinking about it, that like if you looked at the window that they looked out of, like when we saw the POV of like Bugs when she has that badass scene in a little bit, when she's looking out through the glass, they couldn't really see anything from there. So my guess would be that has to be tied into a better camera on the robot head or something, because if you look through that little window you can't really see anything.
No, it was like the window of an airplane, like it was like a cockpit window, so yeah, I mean, and do they only have 3 robot transformers?
That's all I can afford. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, no, because as soon as it's not like they were like, okay, we got another one in backup, like after.
But, okay, so they had Bugs in the first movie, so they decided they need these robots. But knowing they have Bugs, they should have like built something different, like a huge like fly swatter, or like like a big bug spray thing or something like And no, why would they think of a robot, like a transformer? That's what they thought of.
Well, now that you mentioned the bug spray, that's the end of the movie. That is what they put together at the end, which is kind of funny. I didn't think about that.
But they should have used that for like the whole. Like instead of the spending the money on that robot, which again looked very cool if that's what the military wanted to make, but that should have had bug spray. That like it had everything else. Why didn't it have like bug spray spraying out of the hand or something?
Or like glue traps, like all the little like, or have like the light so at night. Have
there
the
you go.
Zapper.
Have the zapper. Had like the zapper going on.
See, there you go. I like it. And then the call signs, when we finally hear what her name is, she goes, call sign Bugs, sting like a bee. And I'm like, why wasn't your call sign like Queen Bee or something like that? Stinger, not
Stinger.
Bugs.
I like that one. I'd say Stinger would have been good.
I take that. That's mine. Stinger.
Well, you already said Anvil, so you're out.
Oh, I did say
so.
But yeah, so then so then this is when they're prepping them to go up, because obviously the bug's already there. They let him know about the lag time, and yeah, dude, we see that, and then out of nowhere, like obviously we saw the one that came out of the water already, like it was like a big praying mantis. That's what it kind of looked like,
Yeah.
And right away, within seconds, they're shooting at it. Like the thing was right in that town. Like again, they walked to it in no time.
Yeah, nothing. And how many people were in that area? Like there was no. Yeah. Okay.
Well, there were people screaming, right? Or was that no? That was in the opening, right? That was in the opening flashback.
The opening, yeah.
People at the beach, yeah.
Yeah. Again, literally, they were piling on guns and missiles at beachgoers that were just enjoying, time. So, yeah, there was no. Yeah, ridiculous. But these alien bugs, I don't understand, like, again, like, what's their, like, goal? Like, why are they like? Is it they're avenging from the first movie? Like, were there alien bugs in the first movie? Are these the same exact creatures that they thought they killed?
Yeah, no, that's what because they say they're back. So yeah, I would
So
assume they're the same.
okay, and they came alive because of the boat in the beginning.
I don't know if they. No, I just think randomly did, but I just thought that was the timing of it that he only saw one blip on the radar. He dropped those bombs and then more woke up or something like that.
But wouldn't they have found them? Like, knowing that they came from the ocean from the first movie, wouldn't they have searched the ocean to make sure there's none left?
They should have because the submarine later in the movie found them all on the ground. He found a bunch of they're like giant seashells.
Yeah. So why? So clearly the submarine found it pretty quickly. So how about like doing it before the first movie? You know, when they found out all these monsters are coming from the ocean, they could have used a submarine then, and maybe saved a lot of lives.
Super deep because obviously there's parts of the ocean that we've never like. We know more about the moon than some parts of the ocean because how deep it goes. But how about that? I think it's pretty funny because they wanted you to think it was a sub, a real sub. Did you notice like what was there? It was like a bass. There was like a regular fish. I don't know why they didn't reshoot that thing. Maybe because obviously like timing and budget and having to get things done. But there was a regular bass, and then you saw like the clam looking aliens, and then I laughed my ass off because the guy goes, "Okay, you want me to take him out? Okay, guys, squadron, we need to fire up 3 sea bass torpedoes," and I'm like.
So dumb.
The same thing we just saw is the name of the torpedo.
Yeah. Well, they seem to be very like non too creative on like the names of things, you know, because again, they probably saw Hammer with a hammer one time in his hand. Oh, let's name you Hammer. And the other one, Squish a Bug. All right, you're Bug Killer. And this giant whatever. What's the Giant Killer? Is that what his name is?
Well, yeah, that's because I don't know if he was in the first one, but maybe in some lore he was. But yeah, no, because his name is Giant Killer.
Oh, that's a question. Was there anyone from this movie in the first movie, or is this like a totally different movie?
Good question. I'll look it up right now. Let's see. Boom, 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 boom.
Like I wonder how connected this movie is to the first movie. And considering this movie really doesn't have a plot outside of their back, I wonder if this is kind of the same plot as the first movie. They're here, and the second one is they're back.
Yeah, let's see. Atlantic Rim. Okay, I got it. 2013. Let's see. Jared directed that one. Who's in that one? David Michael. I don't think so. Oh, wait. No.
No, so it's a whole new cast. Maybe they all died in the first one.
Yeah, nobody from the first one. And you know who else in it? The Blue Power. Oh, no, that's not him. He looks like the Blue Power Ranger, but
I got news to you. This movie looks like a Power Rangers movie.
Oh no, definitely you can get the vibe.
It's almost like it's also what's that? It's like a Voltron movie too with these things. See, it would have been cool if the flying Transformers kind of were able to connect and make one big one to really fight the monster at the end. See,
that'd be good.
Like a Voltron thing.
So the first one had $500,000 budget. The first one did.
What was the budget for this one?
Let me see. Atlantic Rim. Uprising. Let's see. There's no wiki set up for that, so yeah, I don't see it. But
okay.
I'm sure it's gonna be in the same ballpark, but maybe a little bit more. Just depends on how they went with that.
Sure.
But, so then they go back into. So now they're in the robots. You got Hammer, Bugs, Badger ready to kick some ass. They're in it, and then within seconds they shoot the thing down. They fire the rockets and yeah, woo! And then they're like, "Okay, guys, move in and confirm it's dead." And I'm like, "Wouldn't you just keep shooting at it?" And I know obviously there's like civilians around.
This does not happen in every single Jason movie, Fred, whatever. Every horror movie, or any kind of movie where you shoot the bad guy, they always shoot him like once when he falls down. There's never multiple stabs of shooting. Never. It's always like, all right, he must be dead because he's playing possum. Like I feel like, and that's bad guys do. They play possum until someone gets closer, and they also pop up real quick. No, this alien watched. It is. It's a great, and it clearly it works because it happens every single movie.
Even in action movies, they always do that. The bad guy at the very end. And then
Always,
some movies
always.
make fun of that. They're like, "I don't want you to see you get up," and then they shoot him in the head. Like,
See, the only one that didn't do it was Corey Feldman in Friday, Chapter 4. He was chopping away with that. He was making sure. So I give him credit. He was the only one trying, at least. So it takes a 12-year-old to figure that out.
it really does. Oh, I guess because he grew up so much, he had to see Judy Aronson's boobs. So he's probably really excited, and he matured all in that day. And his dog maybe got killed. I don't know.
You know what? That'd be great if they make a new The Friday the 13th and the dog comes back. I mean, if they could do that with Fast and the Furious, Tokyo Drift, and bring back that guy, they should bring back the dog. Where have you been all this time?
All the survivors are sitting there. You got Feldman, you got Kim Beck, you got everyone, Kevin Spears. You have all these people just hanging out, and then out of nowhere, the dog walks in.
And only true fans would know who that dog is.
Oh my God, yes. Or if Feldman's character had a dog and its name was, I should know the name. Is it Buster? What's that dog's name?
I don't know, but it sounds good.
But if it was like on King of Queens, it was like Buster 7 or whatever it was.
All right. You know, it's funny.
So
around this time, I wrote a note. How far is the guy in the boat going?
You're right.
I literally because it kept coming on the screen, and it was just something that just kept bothering me. I didn't understand this guy's role.
Yeah, he just kept calling in, and they're like, "Do you see anything out there?" He's like, "No, but they're heading to you." Because at one time he does let them know that there's more coming, which is, I guess, before he bites the bullet at the end, he does let them know, because then that's when we see the other two that come. But no, this is when they're supposed to move in and confirm it's dead. They don't shoot again. They just get close. And man, within seconds, the thing gets up and they're way too close. And Hammer doesn't even get hit. It seems like he barely gets hit, but then he gets shorted out and he starts like convulsing.
Yeah, I didn't understand what was going on with that. Like, that was a weird. And then where's that gas coming from?
It's like his oxygen tank to keep that sealed. So something was leaking out of it.
Yeah, but to make him choke, or like it's that bad? Like that basically everybody who came on board on that was choking to death?
I don't know. Yeah, there must have been. No, that wasn't the oxygen. What could have been?
No, it had to be something with the aliens, because again, later on, she didn't want that toxins to be later on. But like, I was trying to where did that come from, because I couldn't figure that out.
Yeah, but all I know is Bugs is like, "Don't mess with my man," because she goes in and starts beating the shit out of the thing, punching it, knocking it. She knocks the thing out like in no
I gotta
time.
tell you,
and then
they control those Transformers very, very well. Just using the two sticks, using those two, I would think it would be very hard to do. Just walk forward with the two sticks, and they're able to act like a human just by moving two sticks back and forth.
What stick is one stick for walking, the other sticker for? Because that's the thing I was confused about. Like, there must have been something with their feet that we couldn't see, because just to have two sticks that move them forward and the arms move.
Well, you would think one stick would move it forward and back, the other one would turn it right and left. That's what I thought. But the buttons in front of them.
How do you punch?
Maybe the button's on top of the stick.
Maybe
it's like a Wii. It's like a Wii controller. You push the button at the top, but the buttons on the dashboard were literally just lighted buttons. It was like a red button, a yellow button, it was a green button. It was just lights. That's all that was on the dashboard. I was looking, I'm like, isn't there anything else? Like the switches, they're like not even on the side. Like I said, there's no switches anywhere. I mean, you watch any kind of airplane movie, there's switches all over the place. Even the Millennium Falcon had switches everywhere.
Yeah,
this had no switches at all. This just had buttons, like colored buttons. And they were like, big buttons.
We don't need your stinking switch. All right, so Hammer's down. You have Dr. Roth. He wants to go in, and Horowitz. They're going in now, and yeah, dude. It just the size of the bug. obviously we were talking about like how good the CGI is, but just thinking of how big that is, that thing falling down. Obviously, people already evacuated,
Yep.
but people's like businesses are ruined. Every car is ruined.
Oh.
The thing probably must have went into the ground and ruined the pavement too.
Well, think about how big the robots are, right? Those robots look pretty big. They look so small next to these
Oh, I
aliens.
know.
Like they look tiny. So it's like these things again. They look bigger than Godzilla and King Kong. I mean, these aliens are huge.
So yeah, wouldn't they have, like, I don't know, maybe they weren't as big in the first one, and that's why they built the robots small. Or wouldn't you build the robots as big as
Of course you would.
as the insects?
I mean, it looked like the robots could do absolutely no damage to the aliens. I mean, and like I don't think the fights with the robots were like that long. Like they were too like they were quick scenes all the time. Like I wanted to see more like action, like coming from the robots, and it just wasn't a lot.
Yeah, one thing I did like, and they did like the perfect sequel route because they didn't say like, let's do the same thing as the first movie. Kind of like why I really enjoy Tremors 2 is the first Tremors. Obviously, they're really amazing. It's cool. They come from the ground, vibration. But the second one with the Shriekers, the ones that can like fly. But this one I love. Oh, you never saw the second one? Oh, it's great, dude.
I only saw the first one.
Oh, dude, you got to watch the second one. We got to cover that one. That one's a good one.
I thought we were covering, or I thought we were supposed to cover the brand new one.
Oh, we were going to cover one of them. Yeah, Salvation. Yeah, we could still do that. But no, but the second one's, dude, the second one's almost, I would say might be better. Like the guy is really good. The guy that plays the sidekick to Fred Ward, the new guy that takes over sort of he's not Kevin Bacon's character, but he's really funny in it. But anyway, in this movie, I love what they do that you see these giant creatures, but then it like starts like pulsating, and then we get like, dude, those creatures were so Starship Trooper-esque. I loved it.
Oh, very much so. And they were like so many of them. Like, I mean, ridiculous.
Too many.
Ridiculous. Yeah. And they do something later on, which I didn't understand, but yeah, I mean, again, for the CGI, I think they did a good job because it really looked like, if you were like, if they were normal size and we're going to assume you would see like a million bugs like running towards you. They did a good job looking like that. Like it was like when they were taking over the city and covering the entire street, like it was pretty cool.
Yeah, and I love how you got a really cool, because you also have Bugs is pretty badass anyway, the way she took on after her man got knocked down. But when those things are coming through the little window and like the acid's getting sprayed on her and you see like this big scar that forms.
So that scar was just for an acid dripping? That looked like she got sliced by a sword.
That's what it looked like, yeah. But it worked. Okay. Because then from there, she has a handgun. She's shooting him out of the window. I'm like, whoa, man. She is intense. Like,
yeah. Well, I mean, she's intense the rest of the movie. I mean, she's ready to go back out there constantly. She had the other, I forgot her name, but
Badger?
Was it Badger?
Yeah, it was Badger. It was the other girl. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, she was like, we got to take it easy here. You need some rest. And she's like, no, they killed Hammer. We got to go back out there. Like she was ready to go, even though she's the one that was hurt.
Her line, yeah, the nurse says, "Well, I can't let you out of here." And she's
but even Badger said it. Even she said, "No, we got to stay loose," because she was in the room with her. That's when Badger was walking around in her gym outfit. Looked like she was wearing a tank top and spandex.
She was ready to go. But no, that now that we're talking about that part, but her line, the nurse goes, "If you leave, you have to sign some paper." And she goes, "Where's the damn pen?" Bugs is ready to go, man.
I got to be honest. Every time you say Bugs, I'm thinking Bugs Bunny. I can't it's such a stupid name.
I don't know why she picked that name, but she was such a badass. The handguns, and then from here is when I love what the Giant Killer says, the general, when he's giving out orders to us, it's only 5 military people, but there's got to be more people. But he goes, "I want anything with more than 2 legs killed on sight."
So does that mean like dogs and cats that are on the street?
They're dead.
so okay, all right. So all right.
Hamsters.
All right, so everything. Well, I mean, I don't think hamsters would be on the street.
Why not?
You see how often do you see a stray hamster? I mean, yeah. I mean, but dogs and cats. I mean, so if they're taking
Start
him
walking.
literally,
The dogs understand what's going on. They start walking like Scooby Doo.
so, that would be pretty funny.
Hey, General, I got this thing. It looks like a dog, but it's walking on its 2 feet. What did I say? It just has 2 legs. Let it go.
So the dog's like wearing a raincoat and hat, just trying to,
Yeah.
to blend in, like Muppet Man.
Like Muppet Man. Yes, Muppet Man. So then this is where Dr. Horowitz reveals that they're going to go into phase 2 and it's biological
hold on.
warfare.
So
Yeah.
basically, it's like, all right, if phase 1 does not work, we're just going to destroy everything around. That's
Yeah.
the second option. So there's
Pretty
there's
much.
there's no slowly getting to the worst case scenario. It's like, if this doesn't work, we're just going to do it. We're just going to get rid of everybody, aliens and everybody. That's their plan.
Yeah, and then I love that Dr. Roth was like, he was on your side. Like, why the hell would we do this? She's like, don't worry, it's going to be very targeted. I'll make sure that I'm just going to shoot. Yeah, sure.
Okay. Yeah. Biological warfare is very targeted. It only hits the one area that you want.
And then when the bug jumps out of the way, oh my
Unbelievable.
gosh, nope, not good, not good at all. So then, oh, dude, how about so when they're so right now their goal is to get a spider by itself because she
Correct.
wants to be able to study it in order to figure out like, hey, how can we defeat these things? Because it came from the big ones, maybe there's some kind of link. How about when they have to do it? They can't. It's only 4 of them.
No, I know, but that's the problem. When they see a civilian running for his life,
Ugh.
and they're like, all right, just let him go. Like really, they're the military supposed to save people, and that's not their goal.
Yeah.
Then that's their fault. They should have went there with more people. I mean, it's only 5 of us. We can't help this guy. Really? Like, you just watch this guy die.
Ugh. They're like, hey, there's something over there, and then you see him running and just. And I love that set. I wonder what other movies that was used in, because there was like all those old VW bugs, and there was a gas station. It didn't have a name; it just said gas. And it's just like so cool. And even that whole scene, like it looked really good when they saw him from a distance, and then they got really close. The spiders, like it looked good. Even when our boy from New York shot the gun when he picked up the. I guess he picked up the guy's gun that got shot, right? Is that the one?
Yes.
Or the guy that got attacked? Yeah.
Yes. And again, their reaction to the CGI, like like you would think for a B movie that it could be off a little bit, and I just think they really like the CGI. They really did well acting with the CGI.
No, it was great. Asylum, whoever they used for their visual effects was great. And then here's a note, a note about Larry. I wrote Larry ... who's still on the boat. And Larry confirms to Dr. Roth that there's more of these. So still at this point, Larry's still.
That's when so that's where I wrote down, literally, it's after this part right here is where I wrote down, where is this guy going and how far out is he? Because he's still, and he's driving fast. It's not like he's driving slow. He's flying through. How far out? Because this military had enough time to do a first battle. First of all, get the doctor to the headquarters.
Pick out his clothes, pick out his deodorant.
Go back to headquarters. Go fight again. Go back to headquarters again, and Larry's still on the boat, flying through. Like he really was like so deep out there, ridiculous. He deserved to die.
And then he dies pretty much after this. Like he dies when the next time they cut back to him is when he dies. Like
because they do the autopsy first and then he dies right after.
You're right. Yeah. So we talked about the autopsy. We talked about Larry dying, and then this is like a little bit of. This is when they're on the phone with the submarine guy that we talked about before. So it's like, take him out. We got to take him out. And did you notice a line in this movie that was like Mr. Mom that reminds you of Mr. Mom at all? So Dr. Roth is talking to Dr. Horowitz when she's typing, when they're trying to figure out like the final, like what can take them out, like whatever that like thing they're gonna pump into the flamethrower. And she goes, "Do you think?" I feel like he even says like, "Do do you think 20 will be enough? And he says to her, we could use a 22 or 24, but that'll work for me. Like, it was just a bunch of jargon. They do it in,
Of course.
there's so many, like, on doctor shows, they use so much jargon. The audience, like, obviously loves Grey's Anatomy because it's been on for 75 years.
So
But
you're
it's
thinking of Mr. Mom. That was one of the funniest scenes of Mr. Mom.
Yeah. 220, 224. Yeah. I don't know, whatever it takes.
That, you know what? That would be great if they made a sequel to Mr. Mom and he's a grandparent and he's taking care of the
Ooh.
kids.
Mr. Grandma? Would you call it Mr.
Well,
Grandma?
it would be Mr. Grandpa, actually, but I mean, I don't know why
no,
you
he's
calling him.
Mr. Mom.
No, I know, but his wife's not gonna be working as a grandmother, so now it'll be Mr. Grandpa.
I
You like
Mr.
Mrs. Grandma better?
The one thing I never understood now that we mentioned that movie, like Martin Mull, okay,
Oh.
his character seems like he's been rich his entire life. You're telling me he knows what, like, the voltage you should put in the living room? Him?
He was such a creep in that movie.
One of the best. One of the best ever.
Movie. It really is. All right.
Yeah, so if you haven't watched that, if you're listening, Mr. Mom, I'm sure it's free somewhere. It's one of the best movies.
So meanwhile, this is where the two doctors are flirting with each other.
Oh,
Again,
dude.
there's been death. They lost their one of their main military people.
Hammer.
Hammer. Their one was severely injured. There's civilians we know that are probably smothered to death. There disasters going on, and they have time to have like a nice chat and flirt. Like, really? Like, you really think people could think about that kind of stuff when all this is going on?
And do you remember they're flirting when she finally says that she's gonna go, but when he says he's gonna go?
Oh, he's gonna go. She's like, "Oh, you must care about me, or something, or you can't go, or something, or."
No, well, it was definitely something like that. But the line was, "It's okay, Dr. Horowitz," and she goes, "It's not Horowitz, it's Andrea." And she goes, "And your name?" And he goes, "It's JP Roth." And she goes, "What's the JP stand for?" He goes, "If I
I'll tell you
survive
later."
this, I'll tell you."
Wow, that's a cliffhanger for romance.
It's a cliffhanger. Oh man, but dude, then this is the thing. I think my guess would be when you said there's something I have to talk about later. Is it the fact that the spiders start to climb all over the big insects?
Yes.
Okay.
So when the spider or whatever aliens they were, they climb. The first of all, the huge one that eats the boat comes out of the water, and he thinks massive, right? So all these cockroaches or whatever they are climb the big one, but all they do is hang on. They literally don't do anything else but hang on. Like, it's almost like they become like armor for the big one.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Okay, because but it didn't make sense what they were. I thought they were like they're gonna climb into them and make it bigger, like that. Like, that's why they're all forming together. But all they did was the big one fought with them hanging on there.
It was
Like,
a pretty good. You were pretty close to the guess of making it bigger. Obviously, it was another creature that they do that with, but pretty close.
Now, are those all babies?
You know what? That could be. That makes sense, right? It's like there's a ton of things that when they not like they come out of them like when they die.
No, but if that makes sense, there's like 1 million babies. There's only 2 big ones. So where are the other big ones?
they're sleeping.
Okay.
They're like Grandpa Joe and Willy Wonka, and they're sleeping downstairs on the bottom of the ocean, and they just got killed. Maybe that's what they needed to do.
Okay, I can't believe you went there and you compared aliens hibernating in the ocean to Grandpa Joe. Which, by the way, we know he was faking the entire time, because somehow he was able to get out of bed and jump and skip and click his heels and be okay after being in bed for like years.
Bedridden with he probably thought he had like polio or something.
Yeah,
and they're like, "Oh, Joe,
and he's wearing a nightgown. And he's
probably never. There's no bathroom in that place. I don't
No,
think.
but the fact that he miraculously jumps up after, and meanwhile in front of his daughter, she's like, "I cared for you all this time. I had to clean you. I had to feed you. I had to do all this, and now you can walk this whole time."
And he leaves his wife in seconds over chocolate.
In seconds. Well, I mean, it was Willy Wonka chocolate. It's probably the best around, but.
Joe, I haven't seen you in years. What got you out of bed? My grandson wanted chocolate. He wanted chocolate award.
You think he was pulling like a Jim Carrey from like Dumb and Dumber 2, where he was just waiting for someone to win the chocolate ticket and just fake his illness until someone won the chocolate ticket?
Maybe he kept whispering to Charlie's ear, like, "Hey, you know what you want for your birthday? Ask for the Wonka bar." The kid doesn't even like chocolate.
Unbelievable.
But it all worked out. And I kind of like skipped over just before. What's even crazier is what you mentioned before about them flirting, because they're like flirting like in that room, like when they're using a little computer and they're not like super flirting yet. But then when Badger, when they're like, wake him up, we need them to go back into the robots. And then that's when Badger wakes up Bugs and her face is like infected. And then they quarantine them. And then right after that, when they're like, we have to quarantine them, and then they fight to see who's going to go in there. Russo volunteers, and then the doctor volunteers. Then after all of that is when the flirting happens, knowing like these two girls that are fighting for, their lives, like in the robots, now might have a disease that'll kill them, and we're flirting.
And I thought that was going to go somewhere. I thought like she was going to turn into a bug or something. Like the way her face was Bug, see, Bug was gonna turn into a bug, or like attack the other. Like the other girl turned her back towards her, and I thought as soon as she turned around, like she'd be standing there ready, like biting her neck or something, and like or something. There was nothing that happened with that. They just locked her in there.
That could have been something. That would have been pretty.
But that's what it made it look like, because she was like, like she was still alive. It was just that she had some fungus, and they don't even explain what that is. Like, why would she look like that just from the bugs?
Well, I guess the acid that we saw go into her face, maybe it wasn't just acid, but it got infected really bad. Because remember, she left the doctors really quick.
Yeah, that is true.
The nurse is probably like, I told you so. She shows up at the wake. Yeah, I told her not to leave.
Oh, jeez. You already have her dead. She wasn't dead yet.
I think she's going to die.
Why? Just because she has acid on her face?
They're going to try to treat something they don't know what it is. It's alien. What are they going to do?
So they killed the aliens not knowing how to kill them. You don't think they can figure? They built a transformer. You don't think they can figure out how to stop a rash from getting on her face?
The rash. Just put some ointment on it.
Just put some dirt on it and get back out there, will you?
So this is Russo has really bad lag because he doesn't have like the brain scan, so he's like super. But then he like sort of figures it out because he's doing stuff we didn't see the other three do in the beginning. He's like shooting the thing from the front, punching it, going around it, shooting it from behind. But then he's out of ammo in no time. He barely fired the guns.
Well, but don't forget it's the same machine they used before. So they probably wasted all the bullets before.
Do you remember them firing bullets? I remember they fired rockets in the first part. I don't remember them firing bullets.
They didn't. That is true. But I want to know is why are they always out of breath flying the thing? Because they're always breathing so heavy.
It's connected to them. That's the thing that's kind of like
see, I didn't understand
it's super ridiculous. I didn't either. I don't think it makes any sense.
All right. Well, I didn't know that until you said it in the podcast, but I didn't even realize that they were connected to each other. But then what would be the purpose of that?
I really don't know. I would think it's like it's like a disadvantage. Like
it is.
To have
it
that.
Is.
Like super disadvantage. Like you get
clearly
shot
they were
you're done.
Yeah, and they clearly everybody that basically flew one of those got hurt. That's, pretty much. So I mean, whatever they thought they were doing, it didn't really work.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the doc, his job is to figure out like how can I, because again, these things, one's running out of bullets, the other one, the flamethrower that has like that bug spray in it, isn't working, so he's not able to release it. So he has the idea of, because of the acid from the bugs, he wants to shove the flamethrower down the bug's throat, so then the acid breaks it down, and then the spray goes into it. And I love the one bug when it threw. I don't even know what it was. It was almost like, just given the size of the bug, it was like almost like a tanker.
Yeah.
When it picked that thing up and threw that at him and it exploded, I'm like, oh my God.
And I got to be honest with you, when he does eventually get the flamethrower down there, like I didn't even see it happening. Like it looked like he missed. Like, because the way he attacked it, and then like got tossed around, tossed around. Like I didn't even realize what was happening. Like,
Yeah, I
'cause
know.
Then all of a
Yeah.
sudden, yeah. But then, who's the guy flying with him? The other guy. Was it Russo?
Russo.
No. Oh, Russo. No, it wasn't Russo, was it? He wasn't the one flying. Because Russo has the wife.
Russo was the
No.
bad guy. No, that was
Then
Lee.
who has the wife and kids that he
Lee.
wanted to leave? Oh, okay. So Lee was the bad one because they said that I can't save my wife and kids. I'm the backup. Okay, all right. So Russo pulls the kamikaze.
Oh my dude, wasn't that crazy? Because he was like telling the doctor to stay back and I'll be in front of you and doing all that, and which again was brave. But when he was like, "I'm gonna go out this day," I'm like, "Oh my god!"
But does he do anything to it? Does anything happen to it?
I guess it kind of slows it down because it allows the doctor to get close enough to throw its fist.
So his plan was to die hitting it just to slow it down.
Maybe he was hoping it would explode.
I mean, you don't think he could have maybe distracted it and like fly around his head or something like that while the doctor snuck in the other side? Like, no, just go right through and, to be honest with you, those suits are really kind of worthless because outside of the flamethrower, they really didn't stop one bug.
No, well, what's her name killed the one. Bug did kill the one, but she didn't have lag like the other ones did. And then we kind of skipped over when they pull like the Bogus Journey station when the two bugs start like melding into each other and they turn into a giant bug. So maybe Russo thought, hey, maybe this would work, but no.
So the two large ones can morph together, but the little ones can't morph into the large one.
No, they're just the babies. Maybe they are the babies and they be like the skeleton for I don't know, like the exo the shield.
Okay.
I liked Russo. He had good energy. That whole scene, he was like pretty badass. And well, he went out badass.
He did.
He gave it all up.
He did. All right.
But the doctor at the same time we mentioned before, like she wanted to go out because the canister wasn't coming out of Dr. Roth's flamethrower. So she's like, I'm gonna go in there. And again, I don't know what she would have done. Would she have gotten up there?
Yeah, but Lee goes with her, right?
Yeah, so I don't know if there was a rocket launcher that they were going to launch at it, but she was running with the cannon. They were sprinting.
So she was so worried about this doctor who she basically just met, and she was so like in love with this guy within like not even an hour because this all happened so fast, right? I mean, like, or does she know him in the past?
No, well, no, she only knows of him. They don't know each other because when she talks about like, oh, I read your theory.
So she's ready to risk her life for him. Okay. And there was a line I think it was Lee that says, "Hang on, Doc, this can get squirrely."
He does, and he guns it. Yeah.
What is squirrely? That's his like that. That's his big line, like squirrely.
Hold on to your butts.
I got news to you. That doesn't sound too scary. Like, if someone says this is gonna get squirrely, I'm like, all right,
silly. You mean seem silly?
That's what it sounds like.
Oh, maybe squirrely is nuts. Is he gonna get squirrely? Is he gonna get nuts?
Ah.
Want to get squirrely? I'm gonna start using that.
Okay.
What are you doing Friday night? I don't know. Nothing really much. Want to get squirrely?
Want to see my squirrely?
All right. You there? You there? Oh my god, man. So so then it worked. The creature collapsed, and it was like the head vampire. As soon as the creature was dying, all of the spiders. So I was thinking they should have cut to Bug. Maybe she would have been fine. Maybe it was ever infecting her is linked to that.
Wait, you think it would just disappear? The rash on her face would all. Now, when the head monster died, did the babies disappear, or they just died in their?
They died. They just moved. Okay. They just like.
Can you imagine the cleanup? Can you imagine the cleanup of that? Like, one, where do you put all those things? How do you clean it up? I mean, because there were like millions of them.
That's like what we talked about the purge. What do they do with the dead bodies? Like that job. Yeah. I don't know where you'd put them. Can you burn them? Can maybe, is there a way to cook them?
Smell. I mean,
what about
you can't.
They're edible?
They had acid on there that it was making everybody choke before. Why would you want to eat that? But I'm just saying, there's like millions of them, and they're not small. So like, I don't know how do you recover from that? Like how do you like that town is just I would honestly say just everybody get up and move and just leave
burn
it.
it. Yeah, drop a
leave,
bomb.
just leave it.
Drop a bomb and start off fresh. Plow it over and yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it would smell so bad. Oh my god.
You know what? Just shovel it right
out.
into the ocean and it will smell like Jersey.
Oh, you're dissing your own state?
Yeah, but I'm from New York. So, you know, I'm more New York than Jersey.
Jersey has the best beaches. Come on. Come on.
Okay.
Where'd you go to the beaches when you were a kid? You didn't go to Long Island. You went to Jersey.
No, I went to Florida as a kid.
Oh, did you? You know what? Hey, I really want to go to the beach this weekend. Hey, you want to go to Florida?
Wait, Florida?
Okay. Florida.
Was that?
Del Boca. Was that my? Yeah, that was like when I started in New York. Yeah. Del Boca Vista. But yeah. So he makes it out. She somehow goes into his not because his robot is covered by the creature. She doesn't care. She's in love. She climbs up there. She gets him out. And the end of the movie, he reveals what JP stands for.
I feel like the end of the movie just happened so fast.
Oh,
it was literally like they walked to the car and reveals his name. That's it.
What's his name again? It's James something, right?
It was was it Jason or James?
I forget, but
maybe it's
you don't even see him say it, right? You just hear it as he's driving away.
But okay, so if it's supposed to be like a big reveal, wouldn't you have like a better name like Jasper? Like something that's like not a common name. Like, oh, I'm hiding James. Big deal. Like, you know, like if it'd be like it should be like a silly name. And that's why like he held it off for so long. You know, just
it would
James.
be good if it was a girl name. Like not like a boy
Jessica?
named Sue.
So you mean Jessica?
That'd be pretty funny. Oh man, so that was Atlantic Rim 2. That was fun to talk about. Obviously, like the B movie, what it was. You know, those movies are what it is, but it was good. It was a lot to talk about. Jamie, I know it's not your cup of tea, but if there was somebody out there that's a sci-fi action fan, would you recommend them watch the movie?
So this is what I would say. You know, again, yeah, I'm not into the B movie stuff. I know there's a huge following for it. I mean, you're one of them. I would say, you know, if you are into B movies, this movie is nonstop. I mean, really, like it starts from the beginning, it goes to the end of like action the whole movie. Like it definitely doesn't. There's no slow points. Maybe the bar scene was the slowest point, and it was actually funny. I would say, yeah. I mean, if you're into B movies, this is I think a good quality B movie because the CGI was great, and it is pretty fast paced. I mean, 120. For me, it took me a couple times to watch just because I'm not into these B movies, but I think anyone that is will enjoy the movie.
No, I agree that obviously if B movies aren't your thing, but no, like just the way you're talking about the movie, like the CGI was like fun to watch, the way the cast was interacting in it, the way Jared shot the movie, and there was just fun things to talk about. Like there's movies that are B movies that are just bad, like people aren't acting good, but it doesn't matter if the people are the greatest actors or the worst actors, but you could tell watching a movie when people are actually giving it their all. And it might be just a testament to Jarrett that he can get that out of the actors, or he just casting those people. But everyone in this movie, like there was no people that mailed in a line. I think that's what's great about Jarrett, because he even mentioned like there's so many people that would cast like the guy from the 80s that fell off the wagon and put him in a movie, and you have him just utter his lines. But you had so many people in here like they gave it their all.
Yeah, and I said that in the beginning. I said that, you know, the one thing is they really did give. Now they're not A quality actors, or at least in my opinion, you know, I mean, I feel like I could have, you know, listen, if they're looking for extras, I'm willing to jump in any movie you have.
Okay.
You know, I think I could do just a good enough job, if not better, and I'll be a lot cheaper. So, you know, yeah, so throw me in there. But they did act as the best they could for what they had. So I'll give them that.
I agree. So
okay,
that was Atlantic 2 Resurrection. And so now
so before you go further, we could only go up from here, right? I mean,
maybe only up from here.